The college football playoffs are here, and everybody is up in arms over these playoffs. It's just been non-stop, complete non-stop of who should have been in the playoffs, what are they doing. The group of five should never be allowed in the playoffs because they've gotten blown out. What are we doing? It's it's embarrassing, everything else. We're here to discuss how wrong a lot of these people are and where college football's going if we decide that group of fives should have their own playoff, should they not be allowed in the playoff, everything like that. Okay. And I'm sure if you're a college football fan, you were watching the playoffs like the rest of us. The first game was awesome. Alabama down 17-0, comes back and wins 34-24 against Oklahoma. That was the first night. Then the next day was where everybody was up in arms. Everybody was up in arms. The first one was Miami wins 10-3 over Texas A&M, and this shows how tough the ACC actually is because an ACC school beat an SEC school. Okay, this is why the playoffs are a good idea. This is why playoffs are fun, because any team can beat any team on any given night. That's why you play the game. Okay, so that's the first thing. It was a boring game to watch, honestly. It was like, oh, nobody's going to score. They couldn't move. The wind was blowing, everything else. But let's get to what everybody is talking about. Why in the world is Tulane and James Madison in the playoffs, where you have Notre Dame sitting there, you have BYU sitting there, you have all these other schools that probably could have been in over them. Okay. I want to start by saying this, and people like to say that I'm wrong. The playoffs, if you remember, the reason why we kind of went to this, obviously everything's about money. It's about money. We'll just leave it at that. It's all about money. But one of the main reasons they decided to go towards this is because you look at the FCS level, they have playoffs. Division 2, playoffs. Division 3, playoffs. JUCO, playoffs. High school, playoffs. Pee Wee football, playoffs. You see where I'm getting at, correct? Correct? Okay. So they decided that they were done hearing about the complaining about the BCS, where the top 1 and 2 teams, it's a computerized system, and they get in because we would have undefeated teams. You had the Boise States going undefeated, these other schools going undefeated, and they would never get to the national championship. They decided to go to 4. And it was okay, but the same type of situation was happening where you might have a Sun Belt, another type of conference like that go undefeated, not make the playoffs. You would have a team that wasn't a Big Ten team, not an SEC school, not make the playoffs, have a better record, but they took into consideration their schedule, and that's where the SEC people come in and say, we are the SEC, we have a tougher schedule. I'm in Big Ten country. Even then, we're the Big Ten, we have a tougher schedule. That's where this was coming in. And people, fans, kept saying, this is not fair. If a team goes undefeated, they should be in the playoff no matter what. That's what everybody was getting at. So a couple times in these playoffs, you've had smaller-esque schools, I suppose, make the playoffs. Now, they would lose outside of your TCUs, but they would make the playoffs. But then it just was 4's not enough, maybe 8's not, they thought about going to 8. Well, they decided to go to 12. This is the first time going to 12. So they had to come up with a way. How do we know who to let teams in? What's the criteria? Nobody's going to be happy. It could have been 14 teams. That 15th team, 16th team is going to be mad. I think everybody's in agreement that if Notre Dame made the playoffs, there would be some type of argument for them being in the playoffs. When they didn't make the playoffs, there was an argument as to why they were not in the playoffs, and it all makes sense to us. It makes sense no matter which way you sliced it. BYU, I thought, had an argument to make the playoff because they lost to Texas Tech, who's a high-ranked team, and they lost to them twice. That's the only teams they lost to. And would they have been in the playoff if they were not in that Big 12 championship game? So these questions come into play. Well, then you have James Madison out there, who stat-wise looks pretty good. Then you have Tulane also. They win their conferences, okay? A reason why these playoffs were expanded was to try to get these other teams in and give them the opportunity, because that's what everybody was talking about. Everybody was talking about it. Now, when they discussed this, they were probably expecting like a Duke season, okay, where Duke wins the ACC, but they're 7-5, 8-5, whatever they were, and I think it was going to be hard to justify putting that type of record into the playoff, even though I'm all for conference champions getting an automatic bid into the playoffs, but that's just me. So I think Big 10 gets their champion, SEC gets theirs, Big 12. You could put Sunbelt in there. You could put, your Mount. Like I thought, that's what I was thinking. Put these conference champions in, put them in the playoff. Let's see what happens. They're slowly going to get to that point because of this year, I think, but it could go a bunch of different ways. So everybody was up in arms when James Madison and Tulane came in. Everybody. Your reporters, your podcasters, the entire X world, Twitter world, it set it ablaze as to why are both of them there? I mean, James Madison was 12-1. Tulane was 11-2. I mean, I kind of see James Madison, Tulane, there's an argument to be made for them not being in there. I get it, but we have to understand the committee was in a tough spot. Where do they put the ACC champ in that doesn't have the same record? Do they put Notre Dame in that lost to the Miami, lost to Texas A&M? Their schedule wasn't. You could argue maybe it was tougher than Tulane and James Madison. There's an argument to be made there, but they're not in a conference. And yeah, they're punishing. You could call it punishing, but it's just sometimes truth hurts, right? Facts don't care about your feelings. And the fact is, Notre Dame, you have to go 12-0, 11-1 to make up for you not being in a conference championship. That's just the reality when you start breaking down and you get into these situations of the playoffs. People are saying Alabama shouldn't have been in, but they beat Oklahoma. So there's an argument for them to be in. People thought Miami shouldn't have been in over Notre Dame. They go on and beat Texas A&M. So now there's an argument for them. But let's get to James Madison and Tulane. You want to put them in to try to keep everybody happy, but it seemed it didn't keep everybody happy. I'm on the side of if they're in, they got to go play. But everybody was rooting against them. Even like Josh Pate, who has his college football show, Bussin' with the Boys, they literally said they hope this is a bloodbath, so that way this proves that you should never let a group of five in. But we've seen group of fives beat Power 4 back in the day, Power 5 schools. So you just never know. You just never know what's going to happen. Okay? Now, Tulane was the first one against Ole Miss. Ole Miss, we know, has a lot of good players. Tulane got to the red zone a bunch, just could not finish in the red zone. They lose 41-10. Everybody said this is boring. This is a waste of time. Why are they here? Then you have Oregon winning 51-34 over James Madison, but James Madison put up a lot of yards. Once again, just couldn't finish drives. They turn the ball over or they give up a big play to Oregon. There was this amazing one-hand catch early on in the game, that type of stuff. So everybody kept saying because they were blown out, they should not be, this should never happen again because they got blown out. So here's my question to Joe Klatt, to Josh Pate, to Bussin' with the Boys, to Paul Feinbaum, anybody else. These homebodies that only discuss top, the two conferences really, where they don't care about the rest of college football. They don't care about any of this. Their reasoning is because, look, they got blown out. It was a bloodbath. So those teams should never be in, ever. So my question is, what about these blowouts right here? TCU losing by 58. Florida State in the playoffs lost by 39. Michigan State lost by 38. Oklahoma has lost by 35. Ohio State 31. Alabama even lost by 28. SMU lost by 28. Ohio State lost by 28. Notre Dame has lost by 27. And even Tennessee has lost by 25. I don't remember when these blowouts happened. I don't remember when those happened, that you were talking about those conferences or those particular teams should never be in the playoff. You got to keep it real 100, and you got to keep it where you are just being real and being consistent with what you're saying. If James Madison came in and upset Oregon, if Tulane went and upset Ole Miss, I wonder what your argument would have been then. Well, you can't let those teams in because it just ruined the... I don't know what your argument would be. But look at these blowouts. I don't remember when these happened talking about how those teams and those conferences should not be in the playoff. I don't remember that at all. So these experts that I respect Josh Pate. I respect those type of people that started low and just worked and grinded to get to where they are. But now they have worked for certain networks. They got to keep them happy and everything else. They have to talk a certain way. I get it. I don't. We all don't. Put them in the playoff. Now you know. Maybe they don't. But you have to put them in because what are you gonna how do those programs sell to their kids? Can you imagine if this was the Boise State a couple years ago that went 12-0 or 13-0, whatever it was, and they didn't make this 12-team playoff? What do you tell the kids? Hey, no matter what you do, you'll never have that chance. Ever? Yeah, we're going to go play in a bowl game. If they were 10-2, 9-3, yeah, probably not, because we're not the SEC. We're not the Big Ten. We understand that. But to sell to these kids that, hey, you're showing that group of fives can get into the playoffs, right? Now, the system, to me, doesn't work. Some people think that the group of five should have their own playoff. I can see where that's the route to go, but then it just gets it'll be even a bigger change to college football. It gets rid of everything that we love about it. We love the upsets. We love everything about it. What I think should happen, I thought, 16 probably would have been the best route to go. Actually 8, because then you're not getting into this situation, I suppose. But maybe the best route to go here is the top 24 go to the playoffs. So that way you do have James Madison that still gets in and Tulane's that get in. You have these group of fives that find their way in. And it just looks a lot better because teams get more opportunities. But to go that route, and they'll never go this route, is you would have to start the football season probably a week or two earlier because you would only have to play, because of more playoff games, you would have to play the FCS level like 9 games. 9 games. And they don't want that because that's less ticket sales for the schools themselves because they get less home games. That's less TV for a lot of teams. So this is why they'll never go this route. And we don't want to start getting into the 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 football games because that's a lot of football. I think NFL going to 18 was a lot for NFL players, and you see injuries are starting to happen, especially as they go into the playoffs. So you got 18-game regular, but it's just all about money. But if you look at being realistic, you're looking at the top 24. They get in the playoff. The rest get into high-quality bowl games, still keep it to where they got to be 6 and 7. They got to be 6 and 7 to get in there. I think James Madison and Tulane, yeah, maybe only one of them get in. Maybe that's what should have happened. And then you put BYU in. I think BYU should have gotten in over Notre Dame. That would have looked a lot different. But that's not what happened. People like to complain about it. Having a group of 5 playoff, having 2 playoffs, The way people are going, would you watch it? Like, I would watch it. I've watched 90% of these bowl games. I love the bowl games. I still do. But we've made it this playoff or bust mentality now. So I don't know. I don't know what the right way to go about this is, but to complain about it, to root against these teams is not the way to go. I think if you go top 24, if you're still going to keep these conference championship games, you got to let them in. I don't care if they're group of 5. I don't care if it was group of 1 or 2. I do not care. There has to be a way. But they're going to cater to, and I'm Big Ten. I am Big Ten. I'm a Big Ten country. But they're going to cater to mainly the SEC over the Big Ten. But those are the two that they're going to go with here. And that's just not the way you should go about it. You need to give everybody the opportunity if they're winning football games. Winning football games solves a lot of problems, and winning football games gives you the opportunity to play in bigger games. That's just what happens. That's what coaches and everything with playoffs, the more games you win, the better positioning you are in. But that's not what people want. They think these playoffs were set up to put the best teams in. Put the best teams in. How do you determine who the best teams are? Oh, well, they won their conference, so they're not very good. Look at their conference. Look at this. Look at that. Put the more SEC schools in. Well, an ACC school just beat an SEC school. Now your first round, you have 2 SEC teams playing each other. And now in the second round, you're about to have Ole Miss play Georgia. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And then you're finally about to have an SEC school play a Big Ten school, which is what you want to see. But I think if you have 24 teams in, it looks a lot different. And you could set up to where teams get byes and all that again. You can even have a play-in game. I think people thought about that. They could have said, if it was set up differently, hey, Tulane, James Madison, you have a play-in game. That's another way to go about it. I think more people would enjoy that. So I still think it was football. It's enjoyable. But I don't think you should go group of 5 playoff. I really don't. I really think that starts opening up a lot of other things. And that's just a domino effect that will continue to affect college football. We have to fix the transfer portal. We have to fix the calendar and all that stuff first. And then we start to do this. This is easy. You could make a top 24, but then you have to scale back games. That's the hard part. And they don't want to get into that. They don't want to get into that. And the reason why is because you have all these Division I schools. If you play 9 games, they're done. Do you make an NIT playoff like they do in basketball? But then people are going to say, well, they're not going to watch that. Yes, they are. Have you noticed how crazy college football is right now? But how people still watch it no matter what the craziness is? So if you wanted, don't make a group of 5 one. If you wanted, hey, we're going to take the top 24 here, the top 24 make this side, the next 24 make this side. I think people would still watch. So you have those going on. Then you have all the bowl games. You have all the bowl games, or you could open it up and say, if you don't want to do the bowl game, but you want to schedule another team, that's the way you go. I don't think you opt out. I think opting out should be taken away. For example, let's say BYU says, we didn't make the playoff. We don't want to play in the bowl game. They call Notre Dame and say, let's go play, and then we can start going on X and Twitter and making arguments about how we could have been in the playoff. Look, whoever wins, look what we did, right? That could be something. Or you reach out and say, why can't you put us in a bowl game, stuff like that. There's ways to go about this. But you had to let the group of 5 in. They win their conference. You have to give that to them and their record because they played that extra. You had to give it to them. And I don't want to hear that the blowout thing, because of all the other blowouts that I showed you, there was no talk about that. So keep it real, keep it fair, talk about everything about college. If we're going to talk about college football, talk about the entire landscape of college football, not just Big Ten, not just SEC. That's what needs to happen. Thank you, everybody, for watching or listening. Make sure you like and subscribe on X, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, Apple, all that good stuff. So thank you guys for watching or listening. We'll see you guys next time.